Welcome to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast, where high achieving entrepreneurs and leaders come to receive deep, insightful conversations and practical guidance to move from hustle to flow without sacrificing their authentic self and the results. I am your host and Chief Energy Officer, Tammy Cho, a former patient care leader turned international best-selling author, speaker, and face and body analysis expert. Get ready to lead your authenticity, lead your energy, and lead your impact. Hi, and welcome to the show. My name is Tammy, and I'm going to be diving into this topic about optimizing our strategies and how it can fail us depending on how we are showing up with it. Because what I see is a lot of entrepreneurs, leaders, authentic leaders, like they're wanting to create a life where they feel fulfilled. They want to feel that it's sustainable, right? It's so important in this day and age. And my client knew how to create success. She just wanted to create more sustainability, right? And so this was the piece that became the topic for us because she was so focused on optimizing her strategies, her systems, and her funnels, right? That it was essentially failing her. And it wasn't in what she was doing, like she's looking at what worked, what didn't, looking at the numbers to measure her KPIs and such, right? So it's not like what she was doing was not working per se, because we could be stuck on this a while in the sense of we're going back and forth, right? Optimizing, changing things. And we go into the flow of life where we're doing all these different things and it just gets lost in there. And what I notice is a lot of high achieving entrepreneurs and leaders, right? They believe that if they keep optimizing their strategies, their systems, their funnels, whatever it is, then they'll eventually create that sustainability, right? And they'll feel happy and fulfilled. Finally, I've created this sustainable business. And what I notice is that they invest in multiple business coaches and strategists and taking endless actions on these things, right? Yet they still feel like their growth feels chaotic and unsteady. And so this is what I was witnessing in my client. And it was extra frustrating for her because she came from being a chief marketing officer in corporate before she became entrepreneur. And so she knew a lot of these ropes, right? And so she was following all these different coaches and following the systems and things like that. And there's so many different funnels out there. And there was a piece where she said to me, I've been working double time, Tammy, and I've been getting a certain level of results, right? But I just feel like I'm hitting this plateau. And honestly, she was getting drained and exhausted from doing it all. And she started to feel disconnected with her passion, that spark she had for her business, what the difference she wanted to make, the impact she wanted to make, felt elusive. And she just felt like she was going through the motions of everything. And the truth is that it's not like she wasn't doing the right things per se, but what was failing her was actually she was getting so in her mind. She was getting into analysis paralysis. And it was taking her out of her body, her being, and just having the space to even like connect to herself, right? She was in that cycle of doing and achieving, right? And this is where I see a lot of entrepreneurs I work with get stuck. They get stuck in their head. And this is that plateau that starts to play out, right? We play into the cycle of overdoing. And then we start to drain our energy, lose the energy, the passion and spark we have for it because it doesn't seem like it's working. And then we lose that connection to our heart and our connection to our purpose and why we're doing this. And we end up feeling drained, exhausted, and maybe hitting another layer of burnout. And so let's walk through this simple exercise together. Don't do this if you're driving, of course, but I want you to look at something maybe on your wall. You could look at the car in front of you if you're parked, but like really look and analyze the colors, the curves, the letterings, the words, whatever, the shapes, bumpiness of it, and allow yourself to look at that. And now I invite you to look at this object that you were looking at with a different lens. I want you to look at it with appreciation and gratitude. Perhaps how much work was put into creating it, seeing maybe the shimmer of light that's landing on it in a certain way. Maybe you're appreciating the beauty of it. And so I just want you to feel the difference of that. If you slow down to take a few seconds to try that on for a bit, the difference between approaching something with that analytical part of our brain, that logical, that very much looking to see what's wrong and needs to be fixed. Sometimes when we get into that mind, we're trying to make things better. And even in that, when we're trying to make things better, it's not a bad thing. But when we get into our heads and we're super analytical, spending too much time on the left side of our brain, right? It's like what we see is restricted. What we experience is not one of expansion, right? It's one that feels like it's got to go from A, B, C to a certain way. It's a very linear way to see things. It's a very step-by-step process. And so this was how my client was approaching her strategies and systems. Like she would come into our sessions and we would do the work and she would go back into her life, right? And this aspect of her business, she was showing up in a different way. It's because it's what she always knew. It was something that always served her in corporate. But as an entrepreneur, there are different skills that need to be developed for us to open up into more. Because notice the difference between analyzing something and seeing something with appreciation and love. And I actually walked her through this. I walked my client through actually seeing what was happening and the appreciation she saw with what she was creating. And she started to see the more human aspect of things. She started to realize that it wasn't increasing in her numbers of certain things. She saw that, wow, I developed a deeper connection with these people by doing it this way. And reflecting on it, which client is going to want to work with you more? The one that felt they were a transaction or someone that they felt that you actually connected to them, right? And she started to see strategy in a different way. She started to connect to the pieces of where, oh yeah, that I'm actually overdoing that. And she started to see it. And she started to recognize and appreciate in herself, man, like I have invested so much of my time in this. And she wasn't like beating herself up and she just was able to see things in a state of gratitude. And this is the work I walk people through, right? Because your whole reality changes when you're able to see things filtered through a different energy. And often when we approach our strategies and funnels in a way that's from that logical step-by-step linear way, we often miss the important pieces. We often get into our heads and, wow, this worked, that didn't work. And it's like on a spreadsheet. And it's great to know the numbers. And also what actually will move the needle is building that trust with a client, right? And it's not only that, right? Because what I did was that I connected her to her presence and allowed her to stay with it. And in the process of doing this, she would go in and out of it a little bit because it's like, it's not what she was used to. I was supporting her to drop into a different beingness, a different energy resonance, to see things at a whole different light. Because if we try to solve the problem through the same level of presence and energy resonance in that moment, we're unlikely to see the solution. And so it's not that the strategy or system is failing you, right? It's actually our beingness that is creating our life. It's creating our experiences. It's creating our results. Because often what's needed out there right now, right? It's having adaptability, the flexibility, the creativeness to try new things and to have new ideas and be innovative. And often on the journey of entrepreneurship, it has a lot to not knowing what things are going to unfold. And the more we try to control, it puts us into the left side of our brain, because the right side of our brain, the part that we connect to our presence, the part that we connect to our purpose and our passion and vision, our emotion, like all these pieces are on the right side of our brain. So creating sustainability in our business is not placing our power on the external. It's not trying to spend our time optimizing a strategy. We got to step back and come back to ourselves. How am I showing up in my beingness? Just take a breath into that, right? Stop whatever you're doing right now, unless you're driving. And even in that, depending where you are at, like oftentimes I will drive and I will shift my beingness in that moment, right? To see what may normally get me upset with the person in front of me, but I shift my beingness and I see something entirely different. And so I invite you, really allow yourself to step back in whatever you're doing right now and allow yourself to really drop yourself in. Step into a deeper presence with yourself, with this feeling of seeing the gratitude and appreciation of what is in front of you. And so if you've been in the space where you've been spiraling at this for a while, whether that is optimizing strategies, funnels, building your skill in other areas in business, sometimes we're in our heads, seeing things in a logical way, waiting for the result and outcome, only to keep on going and not really coming back to this place of appreciation and gratitude to really shift your entire beingness in the moment. And this is one of the other loopholes in itself, is that oftentimes we get into the feeling and then we do it only a little bit and then we move on to the next thing. And this is what my client was doing, right? She was tuning into it to see it. But if I didn't hold space for her, it's like she would have just scratched the surface, like it felt good in the moment. Yay, I did that. And then she moved on. And what I noticed is this is one of the things that keep us in the cycle, because we're actually not receiving this shift in our consciousness, in our energetic resonance. We're actually just skipping the surface. I actually could feel if someone is actually receiving it. And I hold space for that to help them feel and embody what it feels like to actually receive at a deeper level. And so we connected her deeply into her presence. Essentially, number one is slowing down to come back to the presence of self. Number two, setting the intention to be with our body, to feel it in our body, to allow it to drop deeper and deeper into our body and allow our intuition to come through. And oftentimes self-doubt and these mental chatters will come in, right? And so I support my client to release that in the moment, because often we don't see it when we're in it, why we're spiraling and why we're spiraling back up versus dropping deeper down. And when my client experienced this and decided to start to practice this and start to show up in her business and life more and more this way, that she started to feel and see the difference. She started to feel more energy because there was less being held in. She started to feel more aligned because she was actually connecting with her intuition. And she was learning to deeply trust herself and to know herself and to know her success path. And once we are allowing ourselves to go through these 3 steps and trust ourselves to take action from this place and from this beingness, she started to create clients that were more aligned to her. And it became a lot more easy. They don't know where their client came from. Suddenly they just have someone book with a call with them. They have random things that happen, like opportunities that just drop into their lap, and the quality of their clients get better. And this is the beauty of this work, right? And so next time you get stuck in trying to optimize a strategy, the system, the funnel, whatever it is, right? Check where you are in your beingness. Ask yourself the question, right? Create the space to connect deeper to your presence. Set the intention to be with your body and allow it to land deeper in your body and allow yourself to receive that. And then ask the question, let your intuition come through. And then take the steps. Take the line steps from this place. I hope that this was helpful for you. I believe that this will serve you in so many different places in your life if you choose and allow it to be. If you are practicing this and you're feeling the difference or you're hitting some sort of plateau at anywhere of this process, it's just a place where you may need more support to learn how to receive, because it is a skill. Learning to receive deeper within ourselves is a skill. It's not something that we just like, oh, I know how to receive, especially if you haven't been doing that a while. And I really invite you to not just listen to this and brush it under the covers. This will be a game changer in your business, because if we energetically allow ourselves to receive in this way, the results will also flow in. Because the deeper receiving, we're creating space to actually let in more. And when we don't have the energetics to hold what is coming in, that is the energetic block. So I really encourage you to go back to this podcast, listen to it again, write down the steps, and start to practice it. It will change your life if you allow it to. And if you're in a place that you want to really step deeper into your energetic alignment and to this authenticity within yourself, to connect to your intuition and to take a mind action in this way, I invite you to come into my Facebook group, the Energetically Aligned Leaders. I do weekly trainings there to really support these different type of embodiment exercises, training exercises, and as well to tap into what your body is actually saying to you at a deeper level. Because as a face and body analysis expert, this is also one of the pieces that when we step into connecting to our body wisdom and our intuition, all these things underneath that are in being held in our body also come up. So if you have body symptoms that are coming up or any kind of body challenges, come into the group. It's in the show notes. You can submit your body symptoms so you can find out what exactly is the underlying meaning behind what your body is saying to you, which is really cool. And so thank you so much for tuning into the show today. I hope to see you on the next show. Please hit subscribe if you liked what you heard and you want to deepen into yourself in this way and to step into your deeper self-leadership. Much love. See you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review so others can find the life-changing content that we're sharing here. We are starting our movement on our way to number 1, and we need your help to get there. If you'd like to connect with other high-achieving entrepreneurs and leaders who are also on their authentic, energetic leadership journey, join our free Facebook community, Energetically Aligned Leaders. Go to pathtotheheart.com/links to join the Facebook group, book your personalized face analysis experience, or to access our resources.